First of all, thank you for inviting me. And of course, I was very honored when I received the award from Charm EU. It's been a very rewarding recognition, I should say, of the work we've been doing. And in this 20-minute talk, I would like to tell you a bit more about the citizen science project we incorporated in our bigger research project. But I think it is also good to introduce the bigger project first, because then it makes sense what the actual citizen science project was and how it contributes to our bigger project. So the Constructing the Limes project is a 5-year project funded by the National Research Agency in the Netherlands. I'm the PI of the project. From origins, I'm an ancient historian and archaeologist. I've been working with Utrecht since 2010, specialized on borders in the ancient world. So this is my background, just for starters. In the Constructing the Limes project, we investigate. I'm just looking for the next slide. One moment. Yeah, here we go. I hope it changes now for you too. Yeah, perfect. It does. So first, looking at the limes. The limes, very often confused with the word limes, but it's limes from the Latin word for border or border road. Is the definition or the demarcation of the Roman Empire that ran through the Netherlands, the so-called Lower German limes, that became UNESCO World Heritage in 2021. And you can see that on the left-hand side. Starting from the town of Katwijk, and you can immediately forget that name, in the west of the Netherlands, running across the country, more or less coinciding with the course of the River Rhine, before dipping in a southern direction and ending just south of the German city of Bonn. On the right-hand side, you can see it was part of a larger frontier system, of which Quincum, and I'm sure you're all familiar with that, was also part of the so-called Pannonian limes. I'm going to have an image here. So in a way, we're both on the Roman Empire right now with Quincum, as you can see there in the yellow dot. And what we're interested in basically is how borders work. So it's not, in a way, it's focusing on the Roman Empire as a case study, but we're also interested in the dynamics of borders. What happens when you draw a border across a country? How does it impact movement of people, but also the spread of goods, the introduction of new food stocks, for example? And this is what we're studying in our 5-year project. We're currently starting our 3rd year, so we have 2 more years to go. And this is the area that we are investigating. So it's not just the line itself, but it's also the area north and south of the River Rhine, incorporating modern-day Belgium, northern France, and also parts of Western Germany. If I quickly go to the main question of our project, this has been formulated as such to investigate how borders function, how they impact society, but also how they become visible as part of our living past. So how they become heritage, how borders or how the Roman culture in the Netherlands has been used and reused, for example, in modern day political agendas, the borders of the EU as a comparison for the borders of the Roman Empire. And I think you're all familiar with the parallels that have been drawn by many a modern day politician. So it's a very long durée project, focusing on the one hand on the Roman period, but also looking at contemporary politics. We have a large research team. We have 22 members currently, and it's a collaboration among 5 academic institutes. The funding is coming from the National Science Organization as part of what we call the Dutch National Research Agenda. And in 2016, this initiative was started by inviting all people of the Netherlands to submit questions they would really like answers to. So everybody could, submit their requests. And based on those 12,000 questions, different routes were identified, one of them being the living past. So what is the importance of the past for society today. Now, this fitted beautifully with the ambitions of our project, and also involved the use of community research. So using citizens, interested citizens, in participating and contributing to our research. And in fact, we involve them from a very early moment on in our project, helping them shape the research question, letting them help shape the output, the deliverables, the focus points that were interesting for them. Now, because we are looking at the Roman limes at the border of the Roman Empire from so many different perspectives, we need a big team, a big multidisciplinary team. So I put them here on this slide. You can see colleagues from political geography, historical archaeology, bioarchaeology, and so on. And we started all off, of course, in our safe niches, in our own specialty, of course, learning from each other. And ideally, at the end of the project, we are truly interdisciplinary. And this, of course, is a challenge and remains a challenge, I think, throughout our whole project. Now, as it was funded by the National Research Agenda, the focus was also on collaboration with partners from outside academia. And so that means that we built a network with more than 20 societal partners, and I have them here all on the screen, varying from museums, municipalities, heritage organizations, volunteer organizations, and they help us disseminate the results, but also give input, as I mentioned earlier, for the focus of our research. They help us with getting data, connect with wider society. So they have been very important in setting up the project, but also the continuation, and in the end, having success with the project. Now, mind you, this takes a lot of time. So working with societal partners, working with communities, asks a lot of investment, and not just at the beginning, but also during the process. So it's to keep the contact, to listen to them, keep them involved, keep them posted, and make them feel as if they really contribute. Take them serious. I think that's really important to do. Now at Utrecht, we're really advanced and in the whole open science movement. This has been going on for quite a while now. And we distinguish 5 pillars: open access, fair data, recognition and rewards, open education, which is not on the slide yet, and then public engagement. And I've been involved with public engagement, with that pillar, for 5 years now. I've been one of the public engagement fellows also. So promoting and stimulating also among colleagues this notion of getting out of the ivory tower and involving the public in your research, and how fruitful and stimulating that can actually be. So one of the things that we have been doing to get a sense of the impact of the limes on the spread of material culture is by adding archaeological data, so data of archaeological objects that have been found by hobby detectorists. So people that in the weekend go out with their metal detector looking for archaeological remains. We invited them to specifically look for Roman objects and help them enter into an open access database. Now, this open access database was already up and running. It's called the Portable Antiquities of the Netherlands scheme. And that means that volunteers that find Roman objects or archaeological objects from any other time period as well, of course, can enter these data into a database, and there's a GIS, a large map showing the dots where these objects were found. Now, in the Netherlands, I don't know what it's like at your country, a lot of the museums have warehouses that are stuffed with archaeological finds that have not been published, hardly investigated, and not accessible to the public. So with groups of volunteers, twice a week, we enter these unpublished collections into the database so that all that material becomes available and accessible to everybody who's interested, including the PhD students in our project. So this is something that's been ongoing from the start of the project. and has led to some really positive experiences also from the participants, and has created real heritage communities within in a local setting, in this case also in the city of Utrecht. But the big project, and this is also the project for which we were awarded the Charm EU Open Science Recognition Award, was focused on the Dutch town of Heerlen. And Heerlen is a city in the south of the Netherlands with an important Roman past. It is the city that houses the only stone building from the Roman period, and that is a bath building, which you can see here in the top left corner. And I indicated the city on the map with a star. Now, why is this so important? Not only is it in our area of research, it's close to the Lower German limes. It has a direct connection in the Roman period with the capital of that area, that is the city of Cologne. But there was something more going on that made the city of Heerlen a very important and interesting partner. Because if we go back to a not so recent past, at least for me, to the early 20th century, the area you can see on the map in green was an important mining area. It was a relatively wealthy area. There was a lot of coal in the ground that was mined, supplying a lot of the Netherlands with energy. So the people were well off in the city of here. A lot of was constructed, but then, of course, at some point, these mines closed down. And this happened in 1974 for the city of Heerlen especially. And what we see then happening in the city of Heerlen is a lot of unemployment. And in addition to that, it became a city with a very high crime rate. It became a hub for drugs dealings. And so the socioeconomic status of the city decreased rapidly. In this context, the city decided to build a Roman bath museum on top of the remains of that Roman bath building that were discovered in the 1940s first. They tried to use that Roman past to create a new identity, a new shared identity, to step away from the negative associations people had with that mining past, and use the Roman past to connect the people at another level, to make them proud in a way of their city again. And the current government of Heerlen, the municipal government, has been really steering towards pushing for that development further. For example, by looking at the architecture, renaming, rebranding the city center of the city as the Roman Water, putting murals on the wall, really highlighting that Roman past. So when we were looking for a city to further develop that citizen science project I'm going to talk to you about, Heerlen was really the best candidate we could imagine. Now on the left-hand side, you can see a modern map of the city with the red dots, the red specks, referring to traces from the Roman period found in the city of Heerlen, with the black line indicated the extent of where the initial village was located. Now together with the city of Heerlen, we organized a community or participatory excavation project. That meant that we invited the people from Heerlen to participate, opening up their gardens to have small excavations of 1 by 1 meter taking place in their gardens. And initially the people were a bit reluctant because they said, well, I have such nice roses in my garden. I do not want to have an excavation in my garden. But gradually, and with a lot of effort and marketing, we had at least 25 people opening up their gardens. And then in addition, we had a number of archaeological trenches in Heerlen's public space. And you can see they're all nicely located in that planned area. Now, on 2 days, these excavations took place. The people themselves did all the work in the sense that they were responsible, for excavating, for going through the finds, supported, of course, by an archaeologist, because we also have a very strict law on who can excavate and who cannot in the Netherlands. So there were archaeologists but also students from archaeology helping out. There were school kids involved. And it was 2 days of hard digging with a lot of media attention, and we came to some amazing results, and not just archaeological, I might add. As a spin-off from this project, we had a local artist design the crate where we had all the tools that were needed, like the shovels and the trowels. And these were made by people with a distance to the labor market. So also here, a really community effort to involve the wider population of the city. After those 2 days of excavation, all the finds were washed, studied, and the people themselves organized an exhibition. So they got some tips, some advice from the people from the local museum, but they themselves wrote the story of the exhibition. They selected the objects, they selected the images, and there was a big opening that was done by the mayor of Heerlen. And the people were just really excited to see the find they did in their garden end up in a showcase in the exhibition afterwards. Now, this is an image of the excavation. So some of the trenches were actually pretty deep, and we managed to find some important walls that we didn't know were there. So that was a confirmation of knowledge we already had. I'm afraid it's in Dutch, but you can see on the right-hand side all the kilos that were found of pottery, of bricks, of stone, of wood, of animal bones, for example, that was collected. So 210 kilos, that was quite a lot. And you can see the people on the right-hand side washing and cleaning and selecting all the objects that were discovered in those 25 trenches. The final publication or dissemination product that the people themselves made was this wonderful book. It was a book with stories, with experiences of the participants, some philosophical reflections, because one of the participants was a philosopher. And what I think is one of the most beautiful things that came out was this idea of the square meter friendship. It was a term introduced by one of the participants, and it shows that it's not just about the archaeological discoveries, but also about discovering your neighbors and creating new connections within the neighborhood. And I think that the alderman of the city worded it very well when the book was handed over. It says that Heerlen in Roman times ensures cohesion, identity, and pride in the now. So in addition to us knowing more about the Roman past of the city, there's a strong connection between the people themselves and also with a shared identity that's based on their Roman past. It didn't stop there, because there was another spin-off. This was a few weeks ago, and this is also interesting because it's on the border between the Netherlands and Germany. So there were German and Dutch citizens collaborating on a similar excavation project, and it was also very successful. And hopefully we can do this more in other cities in the Netherlands. On one hand, enriching our knowledge on the Roman past, and on the other hand, creating that identity, shared identity, but also creating that joint atmosphere of people coming together and working on this project as a whole. I think I'm going to leave it at that, because I could talk for hours on the topic, but I know you have a very exciting program ahead of you. This is the information we have on the project. If you're more interested, we have a wonderful website and also are on social media. So thank you very much for listening, and I wish you a very inspiring workshop.